Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard. I went from being a lawyer and partner at one of the largest firms in America to becoming an online personality and successful entrepreneur. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your health and personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you chase joy while achieving success? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back to Hustle and Flow. I am your host, Heather Hubbard, and we are on episode 263. And we have a Leo Spitfire with us today. So you're going to have so much fun with this conversation. I know I am. So we have Bea Albina. She is a family nurse practitioner, somatic experiencing practitioner, master certified life coach, host of the Feminist Wellness Podcast, and soon to be best-selling, I'm claiming that for you, author of the forthcoming book, End Emotional Outsourcing, a guide to overcoming codependent, perfectionist, and people-pleasing habits. It's coming out next week on September 30th. Bea has a passion for helping others reconnect with their bodies, regulate their nervous systems, and rewire their minds so they can break free from codependency, perfectionism, and people-pleasing and reclaim their joy. Bea, welcome to Hustle and Flow.
You are such a delight. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have done literally all the things, right? So family nurse practitioner, somatic, life coach, all. What did that journey look like? Because it seems like it was very traditional. And then there was a moment where it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I remember that forget about it moment. Well, I think I can zoom back to being a kiddo in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like from the time I was little, so many women, and especially for me as a Latina, as an immigrant, I believed that love and safety came from what I could give, right? So like how useful, how accommodating, how pleasing I could be. My safety, my belonging, my worth came from that and not from who I was, right? And so that belief shaped everything, including why I went into medicine. So becoming a family nurse practitioner felt like the perfect extension of that survival code that I could care for others, prove my value, and in doing so, maybe secure belonging. Mm-hmm. And so what I started to see in my patients was really striking. Patients came in with tummy troubles, all kinds of digestive issues, fatigue, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, like the things that just don't always get better with prescriptions or protocols. Mm-hmm. And I realized that the missing piece wasn't just diet or labs or pharma or supplements. It was all of that plus the elephant in the room, which was stress, distress, and trauma and how it was held in the nervous system. Right. So their bodies were carrying survival codes too. And once I began weaving in somatic work and nervous system science into my medical practice, everything shifted, everything changed. People weren't actually just managing their symptoms. They were actually reclaiming their lives in this really powerful way because they were rewriting this core identity story. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, how did you learn about it? How did you get into somatic work or nervous system work? Like, were you always aware of it, or was there something that happened where you really kind of dove deep and then was able to blend the two?
Yeah, it was a combo of things. So I went to Oberlin in the 90s. What's up, weirdo school? And there was a lot of opportunity to do a lot of really interesting somatics-based practices that we weren't sort of calling that at the time. It was the 90s. Yeah. So like contact dance, like improv dance, ecstatic dance, lots of movement practices that were really about helping you to get profoundly embodied and present in yourself. And they were so impactful. They really helped shape, I was 18, 19, 20, 21. I had no idea who the heck I was. I didn't really figure it out for many more years, like most of us, but it really helped me to start to clue into who I was and how I wanted to live my life. Mm-hmm. And then life got lifey the way it does, right? I graduated college and started trying to figure out things like, career, right? That like college in no way, like in many ways prepared me for, but in many ways didn't. And I started dating. And it was when all of my patterns really came to the fore. Mm-hmm. And fast forward 15 years, I found myself in a pretty miserable, abusive marriage. Mm-hmm. And actually fast forward even more years than that. It's all a blur. But I knew I needed out, and I knew that the my cognitive capacity wasn't going to be the thing to sort of break the spell of my own
Mhm,
emotional outsourcing. And
mhm.
that's when I remembered somatic practices. And I remembered how much stronger, more potent, more just like easier and more better life is when you're actually at home in your body instead of trying to live life from the neck up. And so I
Mm.
returned to somatics. A friend invited me to like ecstatic dance, and I like scoffed a little bit because I think I was too cool for it at the time, but I went. Uh-huh. I went and I did the thing, and I started to feel my power coming back. And I'm just like such a nerd. I was like, okay, if this is starting to change how I'm relating to myself and my life, I want to dive deep. Right. So I
Mhm.
did the 3 year somatic experiencing training. I started going really deep into the science and linking it to the work I was doing in my private practice in holistic and functional medicine.
Well, I saw on your website that you have Science Meets Sacred, which I love. Such a great tagline.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, but it reminded me of an interview I was having with someone on the podcast a few weeks ago. Um, we're both former lawyers, and then she went into creativity, and we were talking about how like we're the bridge, we're like the intellectuals,
Yeah.
and I love it. So we've got like another bridge. So it was like, how did you how did you come to the place of bridging the science and the sacred?
Yeah. It was really about a dual calling, I guess. Right. And
Hmm.
and that dual passion that I'm so grateful. I'm gonna brag. You ready?
Yes, do it.
I have ADHD. Brag. I try to like not brag so early in the conversation, but here we are throwing our hair. My brain can hold like two pathways with a
Hmm.
lot of clarity. And so I've felt I'm this lifelong draw towards ritual, which I think is
Hmm.
part of growing up with emotional outsourcing. And we can define that term in a moment,
Yeah.
but really feeling like life, like there wasn't a steadiness under my feet, and ritual provided that. Like I used to beg to like go to JCC for Shabbos, but also to go to church on Sunday. But like, and if I'd known there were any other religions, I would have begged to go to them. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
wanted the structure of the sacred. I wanted that steadiness and that connection to the earth and to community and to something reliable and solid as a kid. And
Hmm.
you grow up and realize there's other ways. There's crystals and witchy life and other connection to the earth. And it called me from like this place in my soul that to my mind never felt in opposition to understanding mitochondria, right? Like the Krebs cycle, remember cellular respiration? Yeah,
I'm
eighth grade.
loving this.
Good
I'm
time.
loving this.
Right? The Krebs cycle is the sacred. Like, get out of here. I eat a glucose and I break it down into ADP and ATP and spin it through this electron transport chain and feed a cell. What are you talking about? If not the ineffable spirit, movement of spirit through every cell in our human bodies, right? Spirit and science are in their way the same if you want them to be.
Hmm.
Right.
I
And
actually
so,
read a recent book. I'm trying to think of the name. Oh, is it The Garden Within? I think
oh,
it was The Garden Within. It was such a good book. And she was literally talking about, she was using scripture, and she's has a Christian faith, but
yeah,
she was comparing it to the science of plants.
yeah,
And it was so fun to just watch the interweaving, and we try to, put them in buckets. That's what our
right.
society does. So I love this conversation of
Yeah.
it actually makes perfect sense. It is
Makes
natural.
perfect sense. Well, you make me think of two things. One, the doctrine of signatures. So I was an herbalist first before all the rest of
Okay.
this. And that was my grandma was a kitchen witch, a green witch, was very drawn to the sacred medicine of plants.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I really got that from her, and I'm super grateful. And so the doctrine of signatures, do you know this concept?
I don't.
So plants
No.
look like the part of our body that they help.
Mm.
So walnuts look like wee brains. Mullein looks like your lungs. Um, a foxglove looks like little hearts.
So
Like
interesting.
you could go on and on and on through the
Yeah.
plant world, and either the roots or flowers or leaves look like a part of us. So freaking cool. And so, with that said, the sacred gives science humility, right? It's a
Mhm.
reminder that not everything measurable tells the whole story. And meanwhile, science gives the sacred grounding, showing
Mm.
how awe is woven into biology and how ritual regulates the vagus nerve, how breath alters immune
Mhm.
function, right? They support each other, and together they make a fuller map, um, one of mechanisms and meaning at the same time, right? Evidence and experience, precision and prayer, if that's your thing.
Mhm.
And it reminds us that no matter how we evolve in our human endeavors, there's something beneath, around, and beyond us that's holding us tight,
Mhm.
right? And I just think that's magnificent and
Yeah.
really ought to be celebrated.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we got to talk about emotional outsourcing because like I'm about to go off on a tangent on so many other things.
I love it.
Um, all right. So in your book, I did get to see a copy already. It's so
Yay!
good. So here's one of the sentences. Emotional outsourcing is how we end up revved up,
Mhm.
numbed out, and juggling everything, work, relationships, home, feeling that no matter how much we do, it's just never enough. And that really hit me. That really hit me. And so I was like, okay, you got to define emotional outsourcing and then let's kind of explore this sentence.
Yeah, for sure. So emotional outsourcing is the term I created to name something I couldn't quite find in the existing language. So words like codependency, people pleasing, perfectionism, they point at parts of it, but they never capture like the lived reality of handing your worth, your choice, your energy over to other people as a way to attempt to feel safe, loved, or accepted. And so
Mhm.
that's emotional outsourcing, when everyone else holds the keys to our peace, to our joy, to our safety.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Listen, who hasn't? I mean, talk about the cool kids. We're all doing it.
I mean, I just love, I mean, I talk so much about this stuff anyway, but it's so nice to have a name to
Yeah.
give it.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think it shows up for a lot of us in different ways. I know
Yeah.
how it shows up for me, but how do you, like, what are the different ways that you tend to see it show up for people? So, like, for the people listening, how can they know, is this something I'm doing?
Right on. So in relationships, we feel responsible for other people's emotions. You can't relax if someone else is upset, if they don't like the place you picked for dinner, if they're upset about something at work. You feel compelled to fix it. You apologize constantly, even when you didn't do anything wrong and you're not even Canadian, just to keep the peace. You avoid conflict at all costs, even if it means lying or fibbing, downplaying your needs, obfuscating a bit, or stuffing down your feelings. Feeling resentful but not expressing it because you don't think your feelings like count as much as someone else's. Being the fixer in relationships, the therapist in relationships, and giving and giving and giving. At work, we say yes to extra projects, unpaid labor. We tend to be like the mom of the office, unpaid, right? That's, you're not actually the office manager, but you just kind of get things done, which means you're not getting your things done. You're not taking care of yourself. One of the big ways it costs us is because we don't like conflict. Conflict is scary. Everyone has to like me, or death and doom is imminent, right? That's the nervous system part of it. And so we avoid advocating for ourselves. We don't ask for a raise, a promotion, fair treatment, credit for our work. It gets coded as selfish or scary or dangerous or dumb. And so, like, we're not doing it, right? We respectfully really suck at decision making, because remember, everyone else's opinion is way more important than your own. So who are you to make a decision for your own life? What do you want for dinner? Oh, I don't know. What do you want? Right? We never know what movie we want to watch. We never know these like really basic things. And so the number of women I've talked to who are like, I don't know, I started dating them because he asked me. And so I just said, yeah, I don't know. Or like, that's why we got married. I don't know. I just, that's what somebody else wanted from me. We manage other people's reactions to feedback. We manage other people's stories about us with like this almost obsessiveness. And because we're so concerned about their stories in their heads about us, we live from obligation. We live deep in resentment. We believe that there's a right and a wrong way to feel, to do, to be, and we just adjust our emotions and our experiences to fit what we believe is expected. Right. So many of us are in functional freeze, which is a mixed nervous system state where we're both super revved up and also shut down to our feelings. So we're constantly saying, what do you want? How are you feeling? What do you like? What's out, out, out? And we become fully numb to our own feelings. Like the lights are on and nobody's home is how I express it. Not meaning we're dumb, meaning we're numb, right? We're
Mhm.
checked out. And so of course we don't know what we want because we've spent a whole life prioritizing others. Um, I could go on for probably about 75,000 hours, but I'm going to
Yeah, well,
pause because I feel like
yeah,
we're getting
because I
into
was gonna say,
gestalt.
people don't have to identify with all of those, right?
No, 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 no. No, just it's about outsourcing your sense of self, looking to others for validation, direction, emotional stability, worth, instead of knowing you're already whole and that
Yeah,
you matter. That's
yeah.
the gestalt of it, you know?
So for me, and I would imagine some listening, because
Yeah,
I guarantee that everyone listening, they were like, "Oh my gosh, she's talking about the me," and then they were like, "Oh wait, she's not." And so I
right.
just want to be clear that you don't actually have to do all of that to need
No,
this work.
right.
Um, so for me, and probably a lot of other potentially other lawyers,
Yeah,
like we're not afraid of conflict. We will lean in. We absolutely know what we want.
true,
And
true.
yet,
And
we're
yet,
still solving everyone's problems. We're still getting all the work done. We're
right,
still managing people's emotions, not because we think, oh, they're going to be mad at me, but it's more of a, it's like we convince ourselves that like we're controlling the situation, right? Like we have more power. But the truth is, it feels safer to us when people are behaving the way we think they should behave and thinking and feeling the way we want them to.
right,
And
right.
so but it was hard for me when it actually came up to realize that I was seeking validation and approval because the way it showed up didn't look like that at all. It looked
Right.
like I was a hard ass,
Uh-huh.
but yet I was
But yeah,
still seeking validation and
yeah.
approval and they're needing me.
Needing me, that's like the core of it, right?
Yep.
Because that then influences every decision you make, every
Hmm.
way you show up, every next step is about how are they going to think about me? What are they going to feel about me? What like this input that
Right.
really puts these really painful blinders on,
Hmm.
right? Where all we can really focus on is the externalized experience of us instead of being us, which brings us
Yes.
all the way back around to why somatics is absolutely vital. And mindset work is important. I love thought work. I love that. But especially for smarty pants like us, right? Career driven, multiple grad degree, fancy pants us.
Yeah.
We need to learn how to come back to the body because all of that conditioning, socialization, survival skills, they're tracked in the brain, right? And we need to get our body up to date with like the new software. So we're not
Yes.
just running from survival skills. And so we're actually embodied and living in the animal instead of
Hmm.
like trying to manipulate the animal, chameleon ourselves for others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. I
Yeah.
too am a fan of thought work, but I do feel
Listen.
like it can keep us stuck in our head
Yes.
and we're missing the bigger picture.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't think your way out of everything.
Right. And especially if you've
And as
spent,
intellectuals, sometimes we think we can.
oh my God, we think, yeah, I mean, I'm going to think my way into jail, right? Like the Indigo Girls taught us in the 90s. Like, we got to come back to the body,
Yeah.
right? I mean, especially if you've spent a whole life orienting towards others, hyper attuned to their emotions, walking on eggshells, anticipating needs before they're spoken, which I think a bunch of really like smarty pants, brash, right? Like, God, opinionated lawyers can still do all of that, right?
Yeah.
Then your nervous system has likely wired itself to prioritize external safety over internal stability.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
the
right.
shift that somatics allows so that you're actually grounded in you before the inputs come in.
So how do we I mean, obviously we need to buy the book and read the book to get
Obviously.
it all. But how do we for people who are like, I don't even like I maybe kind of know what somatic experiencing is, or I
Yeah.
kind of understand the concept
Yeah.
of getting in your body,
Yeah.
but what whether it is a simple tool
Yeah.
or just concepts to explore, how can people start to get out of their head and into their body in order to really be that source of their own emotional regulation?
Yeah. It's going to sound really simplistic, especially to those of us who are, you know, professional overthinkers, right? And professional smarty pants. It may seem, I just want to prep us emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems really banal and almost pejorative. Like, really, if you freaking kidding me? You studied for how long? You went to UCSF to study this stuff? Like, huh? But it's really about slowing down and tuning into the minutia. And that's what we blow right past, right?
Mhm.
Like we just completely override our the capacity to be aware of the experience of being our body in the world. And so
Yeah.
I recommend that we start with what I call kitten steps because baby steps are way too big. So a
And
kitten step
kittens are
is,
cuter than babies.
listen, I didn't say it, but I implied it, and so I appreciate you. I'm looking around for my kitten. He has left the room. But yeah, kittens is pretty friggin' adorable. So just like what is the tiniest, smallest step that I can take that I am most likely to be able to achieve,
Hmm.
thereby starting to recode the neural pathways in our brain towards success being coded as presence, right? So that we get that dopamine reward for being aware of ourselves, being present with ourselves. And then we can slowly parlay that into being a little tiny bit kind to ourselves.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like a teeny
Yeah.
tiny bit. And eventually we get to being compassionate, loving, caring, kind, and understanding with ourselves, but like don't push it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Don't push
Right.
it because you're going to fall on your snout, right? You're going to take too big a bite. So the tiniest step we can take, again, going to sound really ridiculous, is your morning beverage. So when we are in emotional outsourcing, we are running on autopilot. We're not
Hmm.
asking our body what it wants. We're just doing the default. You know, you drink coffee a certain way because your mom drank coffee that way, or right, you take your whiskey neat because your dad did, and you don't stop to think how you're living in the little moments that create a life, right? Because
Hmm.
our experience of life really is in the quotidian bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
So in the morning when you wake up, before you grab your phone, I'm just pausing to let that sink in. Before you grab your phone, give me 30 seconds before you grab your phone. Right? No one's out here with a half hour. Get out of here. In those 30 seconds, ask your body whether it wants coffee or tea or water or a smoothie, and listen in to feel your body's response. What we're doing is we're building interoception, which is our capacity to feel the internal experience in our bodies, noticing ourselves without judgment, right? So the stronger your internal reference point becomes, it helps you to remember who you are, what your preferences are, so you can be the center of your own friggin' universe. For many
Hmm.
of us, for the first time, right? We're not our own North Star. We're simply not. And so just asking yourself, what do you want to drink? And then reaching for that thing and then pausing, feeling the weight of the cup, feeling its temperature, smelling it, like bringing all of your senses in
Hmm.
to really build that, yeah, interoceptive capacity in the nervous system. And so what this does is it then begins to echo out the more often we do it. Someone asks you to stay late and you feel into your body, yeah, today it's totally fine. I can stay till 7, no big deal. And then another day you feel into your body and it's not okay. Right. And so I'm not saying you need to set a boundary or say no or set that limit right away, but you can have that internal knowing that builds up over time to be able to say, I can't tonight, but I could tomorrow.
Mhm.
right? So very slowly you experience you as the boss of you, which so often, like you said, even though we're like out here doing stuff, we're not actually our own like cruise director, you know?
Right. We think we're the boss,
We sure
but then
do.
we're like, "Wait,
Wait,
I actually haven't been paying any attention to, like, a whole lot of me. So how
right.
can I be the boss of things I'm not even looking at or feeling?"
Exactly. Right. And then we wonder why we have a tummy ache or our thyroid's a hot mess or a thousand different symptoms. But the
Mhm.
answers are all here in the body. We just got trained, conditioned, socialized to completely ignore it, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Weil and I, this was also this I guess this probably is gonna come out 2 weeks earlier than this particular episode. She and I were talking about how, and this is like doctors, lawyers, so many of us, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what your profession is, but you are working so hard and you're so busy that you don't eat and you don't go to the bathroom, right? Like, I mean, talk about being disconnected to your body. And I would think everyone listening can relate to that. We've all done it where we just get so in the zone. We're so focused on whatever it is that we're doing or who we're helping that we completely just turn off all of the sensors that tell us, like, you need to go pee,
Yep.
you need to eat some food. And we just go. So it truly is, when you say the kitten steps, like, it truly is a practice and a long, hard, it was for me at least, practice of learning to connect with your body when we're so good at totally disconnecting.
Yeah. Yeah. Those biological impulses you were talking about, feed the animal, let the animal pee, they really the precursor to hearing your truth, right? Because they're so base mammalian. Right?
Hmm.
It's like spin a web, Charlotte, right? It's like that very animal drive that will tell you, "Oh, don't go on a second date with this guy." Right? And then it's not like, "Oh, did I just get the ick because whatever?" Oh, right, you're not in that self-questioning, that self-judgment. You can have that grounded, solid no. I mean, so you said doctor, it made me think of I went to see a doctor some months ago who was incredibly dismissive, profoundly unkind. Of course, it was a specialist, so I'd waited like 6 months and paid
Yep.
ridiculous copay to see her, and she
Yep.
was absolutely intensely unkind, and when I very calmly said, "Hey there, your tone is really making me feel," and I spoke directly to it, she flew off the handle and started like, "You're being hysterical," and went off and off. 15 years ago me would have thought, "I'm the problem. I
Mm.
did something wrong. What did I say?" But this me who's done all this somatic work, who's not in emotional outsourcing, who knows who I am, is grounded in who I am, and has that interoceptive capacity to
Hmm.
feel my own bodily responses, said, "No, ma'am. No, ma'am, that's simply untrue. That's simply untrue." And I didn't have a racing heart. My breath didn't get shallow. I didn't feel like I was going to cry. None of those things are a wrong, bad, or a problem. But I'm saying I was grounded in this solid way because I was grounded in a solid way, right? So
Yeah.
that's what this work begets is being home in you. Like what's more
Yeah.
amazing than that also, right?
Hmm. Yes. And the whole groundedness. Yes.
Yeah.
I have never been able to feel grounded with my thoughts. I
Oh,
can only feel grounded with my
yeah.
body.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This has been such a great conversation. Tell everyone. So, where should people go? Like, should they just go buy your book anywhere, everywhere? What are we doing? We're
Yeah.
launching a book next week, Bea. What are we doing, and how do we support you, and how do we support ourselves by
Oh,
buying and reading the book?
Heather Hubbard, I love your enthusiasm. I just got to tell you, you are a friggin' delight. Yeah, buy the book wherever you want to, but if you like presents, I've got them for you. So
Mm,
I have so many amazing pre-order thank you. So for folks who don't understand how pre-orders work, it actually tells the publisher how many copies of this book to actually like literally press. And so the more we pre-order, the more likely the book is to end up in your local public library because there's
yeah.
more books on the market. And so if you want to support your library, especially in this current moment, and you have
Oh
the
yeah.
capacity to pre-order the book and get 5 for your friends, get another 5 for your enemies. Go to my website to get free presents to thank you for doing that. Beatriz, Beatriz, albina.com/book.
And we will put that in the show notes as
Thank you.
well. We are rooting for, a bestseller for you, but also for others so that everyone can benefit from this work. It is so important.
Mm.
And I am just so delighted that you came on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me for this week's podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, give the episode a like and leave a comment below so we can keep the conversation going. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode or announcement. Listening on Apple, Spotify, or another podcast app, you can watch the video and join in the after show conversation by visiting hustleandflowpodcast.com.